I recently got eye surgery in Korea and I wanted to share everything about it. To give y'all some context, I have very, very bad eyesight. I started wearing glasses when I was in first grade and my eyesight is currently negative 8.25 and negative 5.5, I believe. I typically wore daily contacts throughout the day and at nighttime I would wear glasses. But this is what my vision would basically look like when I wasn't wearing contacts or glasses. I also have astigmatism in my eyes. Why I decided to get the surgery was because of ultimately time and money. Although it only takes me about like a minute to put on my contacts in the morning, ultimately that adds up, and so I now save time in the morning and taking it out at night. As for money, I'm saving a lot long term because contacts are very expensive even with insurance. Okay, now let me get into the actual surgery details. Parents are the ones who found the clinic and they also made my appointment for me, which was 2 days ago. They also let the doctor know that I was only here for a short amount of time, which is why they set aside enough time for consultation and the surgery for the same day. Here's the name of the clinic. It's the Gangnam Seoul Bright Eye Clinic. And then when we got there, we had our consultation. It took about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's where they shared about all the different surgeries they do. And then you share what you prefer the most, and then they take you to the back to get all these examinations. I got a total of, I want to say like 8 or 9 different exams. Some of these exams I was familiar with because they were very similar to the ones in the States, like for example the hot air balloon that you kind of stare into. There was also the puff air one, and then the rest I have never seen those in my life. They also do the standard prescription test where they do like the 1 or 2 or 3 to make sure they have your most up-to-date prescription. After that, they compile all the different results to make sure you are eligible for the surgery that you prefer, and then you have another consultation with the doctor. The first consult, I'm not sure if she was a doctor or a nurse, but she was the one who was telling us about all the different surgeries. But the second consult was with my doctor directly, and he was the one who was able to see all the results and tell me which one I was eligible for. For my eyes specifically, he was sharing that my eyes are just so bad that I would have to do the implants, which is more expensive and more invasive. But with the implant surgery, I wouldn't have been able to get it the same day because I would have to wait for the implant to arrive and then they would be able to do the surgery. But he asked me how I felt with my current vision when I used contacts or glasses, even though it was a year-old prescription. Because apparently with my old prescription, I was right at the cusp of choosing between smile and also implant surgery. And smile surgery is the one I wanted. So here's the main differences between LASIK and smile LASIK. So LASIK is the one where they cut majority of your eye and then they kind of like flap open your eyeball. But then smile is the one that they don't do the whole flap thing and they just do the smallest incision. And they only use one laser for this one. So after I confirmed with my doctor that I was okay with not having perfect vision after the surgery and just going ahead with the smile one, that's when I started getting prepped for my surgery. I signed a few waivers and then they sat me in this area where I watched videos about the surgery and what I needed to do for the surgery. Basically all the video was telling me to do is once I was on the bed and under the laser, I would have to have my eye open and stare at the green light without moving my eyeball, and if I moved, they would have to go into the other surgery, which is LASIK. And so all I needed to do was stare at the green light. Even if the green light disappears, just stare blankly and not move. Apparently the surgery is only 10 seconds, and so I was getting so sweaty thinking about that. After the training videos, they asked me to take off all my makeup and they have a little room where they provide you with cleansers, makeup wipes, literally anything you need. And then I got sent to the area for operations, and first they took my blood so they can make blood plasma eye drops for me. And then I got a few eye drops. I'm not sure exactly what they were, but I'm assuming they were the ones that make your eyes a little bit drier because my eyes definitely felt a little bit dry. And so I just had them do the eye drops. I laid down and then I waited for my turn for the surgery. Honestly, I'm so glad they have you sit there for like 10-15 minutes while you're waiting for your turn because I felt so calm and relaxed. They were playing classical music. I had my eyes closed with my eye drops still in my eyes, and it just was very peaceful and I was able to kind of calm my nerves down. This is basically what the machine looks like. So I was laying underneath that and they started prepping my eye. So they first covered this eye and then they opened this eye with this tool that keeps your eyes open, so I didn't have to worry about blinking. And then right before my surgery, my surgeon prayed for me, and I remember I wanted to cry so badly, but obviously I can't cry because my eyes like propped open. But he prays for all his patients, so that was so beautiful for him to like, he's a busy guy, he has so many patients throughout the day, but for him to pray for each patient was truly so beautiful. He prayed in Korean, but it roughly translated to, Grace came all the way from America for the surgery, so I pray that the surgery will go well and that Grace will be able to see the world in the way that God created and intends us to see. So when he prayed that, I was so touched. Seriously, as soon as he prayed for me, I felt so much better and I felt like all my worries just flew away, and then I got sent under the laser. And I did see the green light that they were talking about in the video, so I focused on that, and then they have you count to 10 with the doctor. So you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's when the surgery is over. And everything is repeated for the other eye, and literally the entire surgery took maybe less than 2 minutes. The surgery itself was 10 seconds, and then all the other time was just doing the whole like eye clamp thing. I'm getting a little bit teary thinking about the next part, but the scariest part honestly of the entire surgery wasn't even the laser, but it was the after part. So when I came out of the laser, everything was like super fuzzy. The only thing I could see was a bright light, but again, everything was super fuzzy and I couldn't see properly. And I was like what if I'm blind? And quite literally, it was an eye-opener because I realized how much I took my eyesight for granted. Even with terrible eyesight, like, I can still see the world. So I think, yeah, I learned a lot. A few minutes after my surgeries, when I was able to start seeing, everything was still very, very blurry, but they had told me that it would take a few hours for my eyesight to recover fully. Now, I went to the doctor's office for him to examine my eyes one more time before I left, but seriously, Dr. Park, also, I don't think I mentioned his name until now, but Dr. Park was amazing, and he was so, so good, so I highly recommend him. This is Dr. Park. He was seriously so amazing, so talented. I'm about to start crying again, because I also found out from my mom that he travels to third world countries to do surgery for those who don't have money, and so he is out there changing people's lives, and he is so incredibly talented. With my language barrier, I don't think I was able to fully express my gratitude for him, but I really hope he sees this video and he understands how thankful and how grateful I am for him. As for the actual recovery, no pain, so there's no painkillers of any sort, but there are a bunch of eye drops to make sure like my eyes are moisturized or something like that. I don't really know what these all do, but I had to be using these every hour, I believe, and then the blood plasma, which is currently in my fridge, that one is every 15 minutes. You do need to go home with someone because, again, your vision isn't perfectly corrected, and so everything's still a bit blurry. So thankfully, I had my mom, and we rode a taxi back home. My mom actually got off like a few stops before me because she had to go to work, but I had to go to the apartment by myself, and I was struggling because my taxi driver passed my apartment, and so I was like fumbling looking for my freaking apartment. Definitely recommend going with someone because you won't be able to make it home without someone guiding you. Thankfully, I did make it home, and then when I got home, I just did my eye drops, and then I took a nap for like 2 hours because I'm still a little bit jet lagged, and when I woke up, I had eyesight. At that time, I don't think it hit me because it felt like I just slept with my contacts on and I was able to see because my eyes were a little bit dry still and a little bit fuzzy, but the next morning is when it truly hits you because that's when your eyesight is like fully recovered for the most part. And so I woke up and I was able to see the world, and it was an incredible feeling. The day after my surgery, which was yesterday, is when I went for my eye checkup with Dr. Park again. He said everything looked normal, and then I have another follow-up with him right before I go back to the States. But seriously, this clinic, Dr. Park, the entire team, they were amazing, and I also had a translator there in the surgery room in case I didn't understand some of the medical terms, and so that was super helpful as well. But I love how they prepare this little book. It has everything I need to know about like my prescription, the different surgeries, and like what recovery looks like, and then also they give you like the little baggie to put all your medicines in. They also gave me chocolate after my surgery, and translated it says, after your surgery, enjoy this sweet little treat, and it says, release all your stress. And so for anyone who's been wanting to get eye surgery in Korea, I highly, highly, highly recommend this clinic. Sorry, this was such a long video, but hopefully I was able to cover everything. If you have any other questions, let me know and I'm happy to help.